So, guys, yeah, at the first topic, I think. Sorry to upset you a little bit, Joe, but I do want to talk about
a little bit.
I do want to talk about the Warriors because I guess you could look at it as a bit of a controversial opinion on the Warriors. Is I don't want to use the word. In my notes, I've said wash, but wash is obviously a bit of a harsh term when you've still got Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. But I personally don't see them winning a title with that core. I honestly, in the next 5 to 10 years, I would be very, very shocked if they won a title or even made a conference finals, if I'm honest. So I want you to start with. I'm assuming
conference final as well, is it?
I don't think you'll make a conference. I think at most you'll make a conference finals in the next 5 years, but I just don't see it happening because one, you've got older stars like obviously Steph's 32, Draymond and Klay are both 30, and Klay by the time he next plays won't have played for 2 years. So obviously I know you can say, oh, John wasn't playing 2 years and he's had a pretty decent season, but who knows what will happen. I don't think he'll struggle when he comes back, but obviously not playing in 2 years is going to have some form of impact. Obviously you've got quite a young sort of bench sort of guys, but none of them, in my opinion, other than Wiseman and Wiggins to an extent, are very good, if I'm honest. Yeah, you've got Eric Paschall. I always struggle to say his second name.
It's Pascal, bro. It's not that hard.
No, because it's spelt weirdly. It's not spelt like Pascal Siakam. It's spelled differently. Anyway, and
it's got a hatred. You just got to ignore that.
I just don't see that group being any not any good. They'll be good. But I don't see them being. Yeah, you're in a really tough conference. You've got multiple young teams just in the West alone, and obviously there's a team in the East that will get better. So if you do make a finals, there are teams in the East that arguably this season and even with Klay are probably better than you. So yeah, I want to hear your argument against why.
Okay, before I tell you before I tell you why your opinion is wrong. Jermaine, what are your thoughts on the match?
Okay, I'm kind of on the same boat with Rory on this one, just because I believe I don't really see much of a future for Golden State.
I'm taking this fucking hat off now.
No, you know what I think is going to do? I think they're going to ride the wave that they've got now. They're going to ride the Steph Curry, the big three wave that they're going to have with Klay, Draymond, and Steph. But I don't see that big three being a championship three anymore. I see them. They're going to get you to the playoffs. They'll probably get you to second round, maybe conference finals. But just with the teams in the league right now, I don't see them winning a championship with the future teams. And there's not really much of a future there other than Wiseman, like I said, and Andrew Wiggins, fucking shit.
Financially, financially, that's your team. Like you're in a similar situation to the Nets. Obviously, you're probably a little more flexible than the Nets are right now, but in the sense that I think they're all your stars. So Steph has 2 years left on his deal, but Draymond and Klay both have 4 years left on their deal. So you're stuck with them which obviously they're not bad players to be stuck with, but you've got no flexibility in that team unless you trade for them. And I just don't, especially Draymond, I don't see many teams want to trade for Draymond with that size of a contract. So I just don't see how you're. I just don't think you're very flexible.
Yeah, I think the best future outcome for Golden State, which I don't see them doing, is just rebuilding, just going into a complete rebuild. Getting rid of the star players, which they won't do. They won't do.
No, they never do it. But yeah,
they'll never do it. But I think that would be the best possibility for them, just to go into rebuilding phase now, because they're not really a contender anymore. I don't think.
Okay.
Hey Joe, tell us why you think we're wrong.
Okay, so I mean, I kind of see the argument of who's going to trade for Draymond. Fair, I see that. And I see it's not even about Golden State being completely shit. It's more about the other teams in the West just being good. But I don't know. Like I said, I think especially with next year, and I was talking to you boys the other day about that, I think next year is going to be the telling year for it. I mean, we know, obviously Steph is going to be on fire. We need to see how Klay will return.
Yeah.
We hope him well. But like you said, we have had a lot of star players come back, or even Kevin Durant come back. It's not 2 years, but a good fucking year.
It's good 18 months, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a good while. Yeah,
he's come back being as strong as ever there as well. So I feel like when you have players, obviously that is fairly rare though to happen, especially with the injury he had. But I feel like what's good is when you consider next year with Klay back as well, you think about the team development together, especially with Wiseman as well, who we know I love him, and then. I feel like with Draymond and with Andrew Wiggins, like you dissing Andrew Wiggins, but he's
love Wiggins.
As a defensive player, like he is quality. It's like even when he had to clamp up, say Kawhi, like recently, he's held him from 2 to 12 field goal, and even LeBron, he's held him to like below his like league stats. And this is after him. I feel like you see him a lot happier and a lot stronger now at Golden State than he was at Minnesota. Do you know what I mean? Like obviously, at first when he came in, everyone was saying, "Oh, why would you trade him for D'Angelo Russell?" There's people was making fun of it a fair bit, but I feel like he does. I feel like Andrew Wiggins fits better in the team, and I feel like when you consider it like that, you got Wiseman's got the experience, especially from Draymond, gets his IQ up and everything. You think Klay comes back, if he comes back strong, Steph's going to stay strong. I think Eric Pascal's a great option as well. And you throw Wiggins in there. Like I say, you've got a good, strong 7-8 players there that once they play together and build together, you know what I mean, I feel like will be even better than they are. You've got a great defense there potentially. And I feel like you've got, I mean, obviously, you've got the Warriors offense as well, if all goes well. And I feel like I say, I mean, I wouldn't. When you do have strong teams like the Lakers coming up, you know, Brooklyn is going to be it's going to be a good year for them next year. So that'll be another thing. Obviously, Utah have been playing well recently. I think they just dicked us and everything. Do you know what I mean? I think we just still have the potential there. I think we still have the talent there and the kind of the ability on both sides to be contenders. But like I say, I mean, I think that we have got the potential for it, but it does also depend on, and I do agree with you, it's about who else is in the league now as well. Yeah. Like when we was doing a 73, you know what I mean, like the 73 was it 2015, 73 wins. It's like it was a completely different league. You know what I mean? And but yeah, like I said, I just think I like the team. I like how strong the team looks, and I think next year with Klay back, I feel like you've got such a selection of great players, and like I say, you've got a great defense. You've got someone that can hold down stars more so in the in playoff situations, like the star players hold them to below their league averages. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I just feel like it's just a good concoction, all in all, of it's potential. It's not like guaranteed. I wouldn't sit there and be like, oh yeah, fuck it, we're gonna win. We're gonna win. There's potential to not make out the conference finals with, you know, Lakers, Clippers teams. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And there is potential even in the East with so you know what I mean, teams like
you got the Nets, the Bucks, the 76ers have been not terrible this year. So
Celtics have been playing well.
Any of those teams make the finals. If the Warriors can make the finals, then obviously it makes it. It's an interesting thing, but I know you touched on the Jazz doing well this year, and I've got 3 teams in the West alone that I've written down that have, I think, a much better future than the Warriors, and I've got the Jazz, I've got the Nuggets, and I've got the Mavericks. The Mavericks, I think, the Mavericks, I think, are one piece away from being an NBA, like serious NBA title contender, like top 3 team in the league. And the thing is, seeing reports and stuff, it's like the Mavericks are very aware that they're one piece away, because you've got your all-star star guard in Doncic, who's obviously crazy good. You've got your big man in Porzingis, who's obviously an unbelievable player, can do it inside and out. They've got a good supporting cast. They've got some good. They've got some shooters that surround them. They've got some good long defenders that surround them. I think if they're one more scorer, sort of like wing scorer, that's almost maybe a little bit of a higher caliber player, but someone almost on like an Andrew Wiggins level. I'll probably go. Maybe they need a player just above Andrew Wiggins level, but someone like Kelly that sort of play. Oh no, someone like that who can defend 3s and 4s. Who's gonna, if you need him, he can isolate. His 3-point shot is in his career has not been the most consistent that you'd like, but he can hit a 3 if you need him to. I just think that especially the Mavericks, they're one solid piece away from being better than the Warriors, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the thing I agree with the Mavericks. I feel like coming into the season, I think there was people was looking at them as well. But like you say, it isn't obviously a complete team as is. Luka Doncic, like you just said, I mean, this kid is a joke.
He's only like 21, 22 as well, which is crazy.
He is an absolute joke. Like
he was playing pro at 16. He was fucking.
This is it, and he's had a few triple doubles this season alone.
Yeah,
and like
his shooting hasn't been that great though. This season, his shooting hasn't been as good.
I don't know it off the top of my head, to be fair.
But I'll just add one more thing, and this is obviously, I'll be honest, I don't think this will happen, but it's not 100%. It's not going to happen. Steph Curry is a free agent after next season. He will be 34 years old. If Klay comes back, you don't do too well. Steph has had his whole career with the Warriors. He might think, you know what? Let's try and see who's got cap space. And off the top of my head, I can't remember who has cap space that year. But there'll be probably a few contenders that if they move a few pieces around could add Steph Curry. And Steph Curry will be 34, as I said. So
it'd still be quite lucrative, I think.
He'll still be a very lucrative sort of player. He's not going to be obviously the player you're going to go like 4 years, 120 mil for. It'll probably be more of a 2-year sort of thing, like a 2-year, 75 mil sort of deal, I think. But which obviously still a lot of money. But he'll get a good deal in. He can obviously Steph Curry. The one thing that Steph Curry doesn't have that he doesn't need to rely on is athleticism. And obviously, as you know, when players get older, the more athletic players struggle more because obviously athleticism probably is the first thing to go once you get older. And obviously he might lose that first step though. He might lose that first step.
He's very fast. He's very fast.
But he's obviously the main aspect of his game is like ball handling and craftiness. And he can still get, even though he's obviously well known for his shooting, he'll still, even if he loses that first step, I think he'll still be able to get to the rim whenever he wants because he has those like amazing little like flip shots, floaters in the lane and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's it. He still gets like, what is it, averaging about 10.5 drives a game. Like, you know what I mean? It's not bad. And I think next to that, I mean, obviously he's a strong. It depends how he comes back. I think he comes back. He wants to be, like you say, he wants to be a contending player again. I feel like
he might one more chip before he's done. I think he'll want, and I don't see that coming with the Warriors. Obviously, I'll be honest. I would, if you'd ask me, do you honestly think that will happen? My answer would be no. I think he'll probably want to end his career with the Warriors. Just play his whole career with them. But I wouldn't say it's a guarantee that it's going to happen because when it like he's never really been able to be a free agent in the sense that when his contracts have been up in previous years, the Warriors situation has been too difficult to turn out. Like obviously the Warriors at the time could offer him probably a bit more money. I know he took a little bit of a pay cut, especially to get Kevin Durant and things like that. But he's always been in a perfect situation where the Warriors have been the best team by far. That if he left and joined any other team, he'd be in a worse situation no matter what the team would be. He would be in a shitter situation. But now the Warriors and how I think they're looking now, as much as I do really like Wiseman, I like a couple of their young guys, but they don't. Like, I think the Warriors they'd almost probably be like, you know what, Steph, we appreciate everything you've done. If you want to leave, we've got nothing against you, support, and we can rebound. And also that would leave Klay to be a number one option, which he's never ever had in his career. And Klay, I think, could literally be like a 32-point a game scorer if he was a number one option on the team. Because you've never seen him have to do it. He's always been the guy that arguably is a third option. Well, it was more of a second option when KD came.
Yeah.
It was
with KD came.
I'm talking about when KD came, third option. He was just like he would just come off curls. He would just hit his. Obviously, he could hit threes. He was just that. He played that Ray Allen role where he would just come off screens. He would obviously could put the ball on the floor if he really needed to. Underrated defender. So I would be very intrigued to see that happen. But also, and it's the same as I said when. Steph is a free agent, he's 34. When Klay and Draymond are going to be free agents, they'll both be 34 as well. So you've got an aging team with obviously not quite as old as other star teams, like probably the Lakers are probably, because obviously LeBron's getting up in age. They've got Marc Gasol and players like that are very, very up there in age, and their window is obviously very small. But I think if the Warriors, especially if they don't win it next year, I don't think they'll win it. I think if they're going to win one in the next 5 to 10 years, it will have to be next year. Otherwise, I just don't see it happening.
I see. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think I want to see it happen next year, but there's a lot of other teams with a lot of potential as well. But I feel like it'll make for quite an exciting season. But go on, Jabed.
Yeah, I was thinking. My thought process is that not that the Warriors are bad, but it's just I don't see them beating like the Clippers, the Lakers, the Nuggets. I don't see them being better than those teams.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all my feel.
Yeah, that's not my argument at all. It's not that I think they're bad.
I just think absolutely, because you can't turn around. Yeah. You can't turn around and say shit like you can't.
And no one in their right mind's going to say they're bad. But I think especially next year when Klay comes, I think the divide now between the top teams and the bottom teams has been as big as it's ever been. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
You look at because all the stars seem to be coming on to like these same kind of 6 or 7 teams. Like all the top 10 players.
It's been traded between the top 5.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like 3 of the top 10, arguably, I wouldn't consider them top 10, but in Kyrie, but 3 of arguably the top 10 play on one team. So it's that just pushes such a big divide on, and then you've got like probably 10 teams that don't have probably even a player you'd consider as an all-star on their team.
Yeah.
So the divide's massive, but I just think because the divide is so massive, that's created so many quote super teams. I know some teams aren't quite there yet, but they're really good playoff teams.
Yeah.
I just don't see the Warriors being able to compete with them, especially with aging stars. The last few years, obviously, Klay's health, it's not obviously not been as faulty. They've been more contact injuries. They've not been that his body's just given out on him, but his health obviously in a lot wouldn't have played it.
It's just so unfortunate,
Obviously, Steph, same sort of situation. It's been more contact injuries, but Steph's always had a bit of a dodgy. I think it's his right ankle. His right ankle's not been the greatest for him. He obviously broke his hand beginning of last season. Oh, it did come back at the end of last season, but as you know, health.
Let's just forget about last season. Like, it didn't happen. It didn't happen.
But I think,
and to be fair, it got you Wiseman.
Health is a slight concern.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm not going to lie.
Wiseman's the perfect piece to be around. Yeah. Wiseman's the best. Like I think he's the
he's a perfect pick you could have got.
I think if you looked through the entire draft class of 2020 and you said if you had to pick one player to build your team around, I think Wiseman's the number one pick for that. Like he's because obviously he's a big presence. He's not taken many, but he's hit like 40% of his threes. I think he's only taken like 15 so far. But he's shown potential that he can hit threes. He hasn't really shown much of an offensive game yet, but it's not that he hasn't got it. It's because obviously his role on the team is he needs to be a rim runner, catching lobs.
Yeah. I feel like there needs to be a level of confidence built up for him there. Like he needs to be more aware of what shots he can or where he's got.
Definitely, but his role on the team isn't too. But if I know he only played like 3 or 4 games in college, but if you watch a couple of his college games, he's posting up, he's doing little hook shots. He's almost looking like, to me, he looks a little bit like, I don't think he'll ever be that good, but he almost look like to me like a Shaq with a jump shot. Like I don't think he'll ever be that good. He's like he was too big. He was at 7'1", like I think 240, which obviously is not massive. He probably could bulk up a little bit and get to that 260, 270 range, but which I think will be perfect for him because that won't mean he won't lose too much like running speed. He'll lose it obviously a tiny bit, but it won't be much. He'll be bigger than everyone if he can still work on his 3-pointer so he can shoot more than 15 in the first, month and a half of the season. He'll shoot maybe 3 or 4 a game, hit 1.5 a game.
Yeah, but I think he steps up as well. I feel like you could see him coming like with Klay involved in the team. You'd see like maybe a third option for him.
Yeah. I don't mind that. I'm just saying if they went to choose like a rebuild, sort of like Jabed said earlier, like a rebuild, like they went for a rebuild. I think he's the perfect player to build around, especially if you can get 2 or 3 years of him with like a Draymond, a Steph, and a Klay, where especially Draymond has, from what I've seen so far, has been instrumental to his game so far. And it's been, especially on the defensive end, because the one thing that people were worried with Wiseman about was defensively, because he's not great. He's not a great pick and roll defender. Obviously, he can block shots, but that doesn't necessarily make you a great defender. But I just think get him a couple of years with those guys, maybe get rid of those guys, trade them off. Steph leaves, and then he's his team, and he knows all that. He's got 3 years of that knowledge. Just to pass on to a rebuilding team, I think it's a very good idea for them.
Yeah.